Hey guys, welcome back. This is Library of Orthonc, LOTR TCG, back with another top 10 video for you guys. So you probably saw that I did a top 10 of companions and minions from the movie block format, and I thought it'd be really fun to finish out this series with top 10 events and conditions, events, conditions, possessions, basically non-characters. So top 10 non-character cards of the movie block. And today we're going to do the top 10 free peoples. So these are free peoples cards that are not companions. And we're going to look at the top 10, most impactful in the movie block. So let's get right into it. So first off, we have number 10, Syo Mine. I love Syo Mine. Reason why it's number 10 is it's not particularly versatile among a lot of different decks, but it's incredibly crucial and necessary for its own deck, which is the Rohan deck, because it just lets you get any character or any possession. There's not quite any card in the game that is as versatile as this in terms of deck searching and giving you the cards that you need. So that's going to give us our number 10 spot, the absolute staple of all Rohan decks, Syo Mine. Then moving into the number 9 spot is a Dwarfen card. Dwarves were incredibly strong right before the Worlds when they had Aggression. Aggression was a card that was a condition that just gave your Dwarves +1 damage, and you could discard it to draw cards for your damage plus X. It was just basically a broken card, and it ended up being banned right before the 2004 Worlds. So Dwarves took a big hit from that. This card took a little bit of a hit too, because your Dwarves would just be absurdly high damage in that Aggression deck. But this is still a solid card for any Dwarf deck in the movie block. When you're working with Gimli, with the Ring of Fury, with other modifiers, you can easily get 4 or 5 cards still out of this if you build a deck around it. And that is spot a Dwarf who is damage plus X and exert that Dwarf twice to make an opponent discard X shadow cards. So this is so good for 2 reasons. One, it's good for double moving. So you exert that Dwarf twice to clear off the minions that your opponent has on the table so that you can double or triple move. That's the huge main use. The other thing that's different about this as opposed to other events that discard minions in the regroup phase is this is actually not limited to minions. So this can actually wipe away shadow conditions too. It's just X shadow cards. So the strategy back when Aggression was broken is you would just completely wipe out your opponent's whole support area because you'd be damage +6 +7 and just wreck them. It's not as broken as that anymore, but it's still a very highly impactful card, very key to any Dwarf strategy. So that's why this comes in at our number 9, Blood Runs Chill. Then coming in at number 8, Out of High Airs. So Out of High Airs is another similar event to Blood's Run Chill, except for this one works with wizards. I think that is a very key cool thing that generally had not yet been implemented in the movie block, aside from a few cards. And that is that this one says, exert your wizard to discard each minion. Almost all the Gandalf cards in the movie block refer to Gandalf. This one, though, is fantastic because you can use this with Radagast. So many decks will splash Radagast and then can splash this as well, even in one copy. And then you get your Radagast down, you go for your triple move, and you out of high airs your opponent. And if you read this, it doesn't matter what the setup is on the table. It's literally just discard each minion. So this just completely wipes the table in the regroup phase. So this is huge if you're trying to combine this with Radagast, or even obviously it still works with Gandalf. But if you're trying to get those extra moves in, just being able to wipe the minions off the table is huge. So that's why this Out of High Airs gets the nod at the number 7 spot. Next, we have at our number 6 spot, A Wizard is Never Late. I realize this one is non-foil, guys. Sorry to disappoint you. I think I have 8 copies of this tied up in expanded decks right now, so this one is unusually non-foiled. But this card is being featured here because, again, just a fantastic card that I think is sometimes overlooked in the movie block. Play a Gandalf character from your draw deck. So this is so fantastic because, of course, it gets you Gandalf. Everyone knows that. But it can also get you Barlaman, which is huge to, recur those events. It can also get you Albert Dreary to if, you're facing Moria Swarm or even Isengard. And then, most importantly, the part that I think is overlooked is this can get Radagast. So you can easily play a deck that plays 1 or 2 copies of Gandalf and Radagast, and then use this as your additional copies to get whichever one you need. So I think that's a really nice, fun synergy that doesn't get thought of. And then the other thing that you can use this, of course, for is in the Ent deck. You can use this to rain down Ents on your opponent, which is always a good thing to say, hey, I'm going to get my Ents out as quickly as I can. That's the name of the game. So a Wizard is never late for those Ents is going to be fantastic too. So Wizard is never late gets our number 6 spot. Moving on then to number 5, we have Citadel of the Stars. So Citadel of the Stars is just a great versatile wounding card. It's exert a man to wound a minion skirmishing your man, Gondor man, of course. And that's primarily what it's used for. And it's a 1 cost. It's a support area condition, so you can just throw it down there. So for all those reasons, it's a very good versatile card. You'll see this as a staple in Elves and Men. You'll see it, of course, in Knights, where Knights can do the alternate cost of spotting 3 Knights to use it, and then obviously have a ton of fortification synergies with it. You'll also even see it just in, potentially in any decks that are doing rainbow wounding with Gondor men. It's obviously good for that as well. But just a very good staple card that's used to keep the board under control. So we get the number 5 spot here to the Citadel of the Stars. And that's a beautiful card too, I think. Common actually, but certainly one of the most desirable common foils. Then next on the list at our number 5, we have Saved from the Fire. This is a personal favorite card of mine. Again, this gets better and better outside of movie block, but still good enough to make our top 5 here. And that is spot Gandalf and place a companion in the dead pile to take 3 cards of that companion's culture into your hand from your draw deck. So this is just, I like to call it burning, so you burn your guy and then you get 3 of his same culture from the deck. So this is just so good. You're primarily going to see this in a Gondor bomb deck, or of course in those Ent deck that I mentioned earlier, when you can just burn a Gandalf, burn a crappy Ent and get 3 massive Ents out of your deck and just flood the pool. It's just, amazing card to have to do that. And then in the Gondor bomb, you just drop your 3 biggest Gondor men on someone by burning a crap ranger. It's so good in terms of searchability and just being able to flood the pool with a bomb of companions and just, give your opponent a bunch of Twilight one time and then have the benefit of a massive fellowship the rest of the game. So that is very impactful, very cool. Even in the movie block, we've got Saved from the Fire. Next, after Saved from the Fire, we have one of my favorite Lord of the Rings foils, Andrreal, the Flame of the West. Just beautiful. Beautiful presentation of this card. But what we're here to raid on, of course, is the game mechanics of this. And this is just so good. You get damage +1. You get vitality +1, you get power +2. This single-handedly makes Aragorn a force to be reckoned with in movie block, this one card. So just absolute amazing synergy. Anytime you're playing multiple Aragorns, get an Andrreal on him. it has the secondary effect of playing sanctuaries, which is nothing to sneeze at, but in expanded, that becomes a very necessary ability to protect your fellowship from auto-lossing various site loop strategies. But in the movie block, it's just a nice little bonus, and you're playing this purely for the absurd stats that it gives your Aragorn. And of course, it's an artifact. So being an artifact has a couple bonuses, with the Gondor deck, as well as with just being protected from discard, so that those Marauders or War Clubs or Canteas cannot touch this weapon. So very, very good. Andrreal, Flame of the West, gets the number 4 spot. Number 3 then goes to another artifact, and that is the Eyeg Gloss. Eyeg Gloss is so good with Legolas Greenleaf, so good with Gil-galad. So anytime you see either of those guys in a deck, you're seeing Eyeg Gloss. Bearer must be an elf. If it's Gil-galad, you get all those artifact power bonuses. But oftentimes, like I said, you see it with Legolas because it's a very safe way to give him an additional vitality. And then whether you're seeing it on Legolas or Gil-galad, you may discard it to wound a minion for each elf you can spot, which is a very nice regroup phase action that, again, can help facilitate a double or triple move. So just a fantastic card. Really kind of shows off and shines with Legolas or Gil-galad, and really makes those guys even more powerful than they already are. So we got Eyeg Gloss coming in at number 3. Then coming in at number 2, we have the Last Alliance of Elves and Men. So we've talked a lot about this deck. This is a very key deck in the movie block format. Very extremely highly represented at 2004 Worlds, because a lot of people weren't yet on to the strategies with Galadriel Lady Redeemed. But on its own, it just facilitates Gondor men becoming beastly powerful, giving them +3, and just really incentivizes you to want to play elves and men together, which you're already kind of wanting to do anyway because of the various synergies that exist between those two cultures, and really just takes that deck to a whole new level. I kind of wish they had made a few other cards of this same type and style, but this is a very unique card that came out all the way back in the first set and continued all the way to set 10 to be an absolute staple that, was a deck build around of the top deck. So we've got the Last Alliance of Elves and Men in our number 2 spot. And now for our number 1 non-character Free People's card in the movie block, we have the Tale of the Great Ring. So this is another very unassuming card where you look at it and it's like, oh, that seems decent. But, in practice, this is a 0-cost support area condition, which is kind of the gold standard of just you get to throw it down and, draw a new card for it in the regroup phase. But it's also a tail for things that care about that. But really, it's here for its effect, which is prevent a hobbit from being overwhelmed unless a shadow event is or was played during this skirmish. So this really turns the whole concept of overwhelming on its head, and is just a huge swarm protection or huge Site 9 protection, because this still does work on the final Site 9. And basically what this does is it means that the shadow player in their deck really has to have either condition discard, where you can selectively get rid of this card, or they have to have an event. So between one of those two things, I'd say most decks actually just select to play some type of condition discard. But if you don't have condition discard and you don't have an event, you cannot overwhelm the Ring Bearer at least one time. So this is just a huge card, so highly splashable. Elves and Men plays it. Anyone who plays a Frodo Ring Bearer, like even Rohan, you see this in there. Obviously great in a deck that actually is centered around hobbits. Then you're going to see multiple copies of this typically. because it's prevent any Hobbit. It's not just like the Ring Bearer or something like that. So like I said, this really changes the rules of the game and changes the way that overwhelming works, to basically say you have to play an event to overwhelm. So very unique card, very I don't say format warping, but very warping in how Shadow players have to design their decks and be prepared to address this card. So that is our number 1 card, the Tale of the Great Ring. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, this has been our top 10 of our non-character cards. Let me know if you guys agree, disagree, if there's some other cards you thought should have made this list that didn't. I'm still just going to line them up in the order I selected. And again, probably some of these cards here, especially as previously, the back 5 through 10 are very interchangeable. But, just giving you guys a little snapshot of some of the most impactful cards you'll see in the movie block format that are not characters and on the free people's side. So this has been our list. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for some more videos.